welcome back to Publishing Power Play Podcast. I'm your host, Jana Short. I'm just going to jump right into this because this, for me, is the number one key to everything you're doing about building your brand, being published, getting your message out, and amplifying your voice. It's all about the story. And the story will set you free. So when I mean story, think about some of the things that people have still on websites, mission statements. They connect to you on an emotional way. Your story is powerful. So a little hint, my other podcast is called Oh My Health, There Is Hope. I've done over 500 episodes of it. It's 3 or 4 years old. I can't remember. It's just been a long time that we've been recording it. And I kind of want to stop it, but it's still pulling in 45 to 55,000 downloads every month. So we keep doing it. But it's because people come on and the very first thing I ask them is share your story of hope. And honestly, I immediately connect with them. So let me tell you a little bit about the importance of your story of hope or your mission statement or why you're doing what you're doing. Usually why we're doing what we're doing, especially when you get to the point of meeting me and wanting to be published, there's a fire in your gut burning for more. And it came from something that's happened to you in the past, something you went through. I meet people who are breast cancer survivors. And what are they doing? They're fighting the mission, right? They're getting more awareness. They're helping other women. They're creating communities. They're making a ripple effect because of their experience. I have people who were very overweight and they managed to get that under control and get fit. And their message is to help other women know there's hope for you. We can do this together. People who are struggling with depression, usually the people who step in to help them have had an experience from themselves, someone they love, that's changed or impacted their lives. So this is where I'm going to tell you a little teeny bit about my story, where this all came from. And you're going to be like, what? She grew a magazine with 1.25 million subscribers out of that? 100% I did. So I started off in my career as a designer. I went to school to be a designer. I became a designer and kind of loved it. I mean, it had its perks and it had its not so great things. And I remember I was driving a Bentley and I was carrying a Chanel bag, wearing my Louis Vuitton shoes. And I knew when I walked up to that client store for the very first time, I had made such a strong impression on them that they were booking me. And you know what they did? But it was more me working one-on-one with them, right? But for me, in my head, was all these things that said successful. And then I had a surgery, a little teeny simple surgery, a fundoplication. For those of you who don't know what that is, if you have a hinal hernia, which is a hernia in your esophagus, most people have them and do nothing with them, but mine had twisted. And because it twisted, it had not good blood flow. So they were afraid that it would dehisce, open up, and foods I was eating would go into my body cavity and cause me to become septic and very ill. So I went in to have this surgery. And I came out of surgery just fine. Went home, did my thing. About 6 months later, I was telling my husband, every time I eat, I'm uncomfortable. Like it feels like food's poisoning me to the point I didn't want to eat anymore. But the funniest symptom was I started looking pregnant. Like my tummy looked like I was 6 months pregnant. And people would come up, bless their little hearts, say, congratulations on your new baby. And I would thank them. Thank you so much for thinking I could have a baby. I'm in my 50s, so I'm not pregnant. And I didn't know what was going on until I ended up in the ER in so much pain and found that when they did my surgery, they had damaged my vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is a nerve that runs down from your brain stem all the way down, and it like triggers all the responses in your digestive system. It controls temperature, like a thermostat that controls temperature, your thyroid, and mine was severed. And so my stomach and digestive tract had kind of become paralyzed. So after seeing a few specialists, what we had decided to do is to have a total gastrectomy, meaning my stomach completely removed. I went in and had that surgery and all heck broke loose. So I went in to have this surgery because of a hernia that I had surgery for that they were afraid would dehisce. And what happened after this surgery, it dehissed. I became very septic. I was being fed something called TPN, which is a synthetic food they give people in comas or that are struggling to eat for periods of time. And it's synthetic, and my body just said no to it. And I know that's pretty rare, but it just said no and started shutting down my organs. So on top of me fighting all this, I was getting very sick. I was in the hospital for 2 months, and my doctor came to me, and my hole in my stomach still hadn't healed up. So I had nothing by mouth, no food, no water, nothing. Everything came in an IV form. And my doctor finally came to me and said to me, look, there's nothing more we can do. Your body is going to just shut down. We can make you very comfortable here, or would you prefer us to do that at home? I wanted to go home. I did not want to stay here. So I went home, and I immediately, my daughter brought my grandson over to visit. I was there at his birth, and 3 weeks later went in for a surgery, and 2 months later, I'm dying. So she brings me my grandson, and all I could think about is, how will he remember me? He will not have one memory. And I, to this day, can remember what my grandmother smelled like. I remember her red lipstick that would go in the creases of her lips. And I thought it was so cool. I couldn't wait to wear red lips. I remember everything, what it felt like when I hugged her skin, her feel, her laugh. And I just wanted my grandson to have one memory like that. I had 5 grandchildren at the time, but he was the youngest, only a few months old. And I was desperate to create a memory. So on my deathbed, I got my laptop. I was too weak to sit. I was too weak to stand. I was like so weak. And I typed in the words, desperate for health answers, looking for holistic options. And the whole world opened up to me. It was a magical disaster. And when I say magical disaster, it was magical that I could extend my reach across the globe to experts and people that could hear me and listen to me and give me health options, holistic health options. It's not that I didn't think a Western medicine could help me, but they'd already told me no. 2 of my daughters were in med school. They couldn't help me. My husband is a veterinarian, and so he knows something about medicine for humans, and he couldn't help me. So I believed them, and I started looking for holistic options. But unfortunately, when this whole world opened up to me, along came people who just rolled out of bed and thought, people are making money in the holistic world, and I'm going to do that. You don't have to have licensing back then. Coaching didn't have to have licensing. And they would say they were homeopaths, natural doctors, doctors of natural medicine. They were all these things, and they weren't. And here's the thing. I was fortunate enough to know that I had my family's support and their education to help me understand, like, that's not real. That can't work. That's not real. But they wasted valuable time of mine. I was on a ticking clock, and I had to get something fast to create this space with my grandson. I did find something. Here I am. It's been 11 years. I tell people all the time, I still live in the same diagnosis. No, my stomach did not grow back. No, I still have a problem eating food, and I cannot have TPN. Not to mention, I have so many other things that come into play. But I am thriving in my diagnosis, thriving. And when this happened to me, I was like, why? Why am I still here even? This put a burning fire and passion in my gut to find out why. I went back to school. I got more education. What's all this mindset stuff? How does this work? Is this magic? What's happening? And I started learning more about the mind-body connection, about creating this pathway in our brain and leading it somewhere, and having these powerful thoughts and projections out to the world. I learned about energy, like my body's created with energy. I learned all these magical things. And I wrote that book that we talked about in another episode, Oh, My Health, There's Hope. I only could do a chapter of it, though. I really am not a writer, and I didn't think I could cover a whole book. So I asked other people to collaborate with me. And when they did, the book became a bestseller. And I didn't want to stop telling stories. So I invited people on my podcast. We've had hundreds of celebrity, regular people like you and me, people who are SEO, superpower people, Forbes people. We've had all these incredible people, professional football players. Like, it's been amazing. We've had these people come on the show and share their story of hope. And immediately I connect with them. Immediately I connect with them. I understand that they were once scared. They were once desperate. They were once searching and vulnerable to what is out there in the world. And yet they stepped forward into it and something magical happened. That's how I share my story, how I built my platform. The whole reason I built a publishing magazine, I didn't think I was a magazine publisher or publicist. The whole reason I built the magazine was for one reason. I wanted to cut through all the crap when someone needs something and help them find those needles in the haystack, because I know they're there. I found them. And if I can find them and vet them for others, they can find them and they can get access to them. And I want them to build a brand in the magazine. I want them to have a column all about nutrition, a column all about mental health, a column about recognizing early symptoms of breast cancer. What does that look like? Seasonal therapies. I want all of this in there, what it means to have the perfect mindset, which there isn't, but we're always striving, but what it means to create those maps in our brain that are going to lead us there. But I wanted them taught to you by people who were educated for that they knew what they were doing. This was their line. This was their profession. This is what was their burning gut passion. So when you are creating a story, this is so important. Sit down and just write it all out. And it doesn't have to be I cannot say it. See, one of my stories is I had a stroke through all of this. I had a blood clot go to my brain and I had a stroke. And when I get a word, I hear it beautiful. So I know what I want to say to you, but it will not come out of my mouth. So chronological in order. It doesn't have to be in order. So I'm showing you my messy. It doesn't have to be in order. Just start writing things you remember that trigger you for this pathway. And then once you remember those, I want you to look at them and take a highlight pen, get pink, get yellow, get blue. I want this to look like a rainbow. And I want you to sit back one night and don't just do a page, literally get it out there. And I want you to start highlighting. Wow, there's a beautiful quote. Wow, there's an article I can write on. That's a perfect prompt for an article. This is a podcast episode. This is a YouTube episode. This is something I can take to my people on and pull my story, my personal, unique story. I'm sure there are many other people who lost their stomach, have gastroparesis, had problems with their TPN, had to find another way to live, that are out there. But their story is different than mine. They didn't have the same support system, maybe. They didn't have the same doctors. They didn't have the same issues maybe with their healthcare. Maybe they didn't understand the internet and how to search it. We all have these beautiful, unique stories that were given to us that seemed horrible at the time we were going through them. But when we look back now, we realize, wow, I'm so grateful for that moment. I'm so grateful every day for that moment. I got to tell you, on the other side of this story is that I live with the fact that I'm going to throw up about 10 times a day, every single day. If I put something in my mouth, at some point, I'm going to throw up. I also can tell you that I'm not malnourished anymore. I'm thriving. I found how to take a lot of stuff in liquid. So I do a lot of liquid, but I still eat what I want. I do what I want. Since this time has happened, this is when I tell you guys, take them on a journey. Remember the valley to the peak? I have climbed Machu Picchu with my husband. We have gone on safari. We have climbed glaciers in Patagonia. We have done so many incredible things because my whole joy now isn't gifts. It's not the driving up in a Bentley. It's not having a Chanel bag, although I love my bag. I still have it. It is not having the Louis Vuitton shoes. It's the memories I create. The things that I leave behind are going to be the beautiful memories and relationships and things I've created with others. Your story will do that for you. It will connect you to people. It'll build trust and rapport. They'll understand. She does understand what I'm saying. That's exactly how I feel. I'm desperate. I'm scared. The words I typed into my computer that day in my sick bed, looking for health answers for and I was desperate. All the world opened up. I could not believe people from Japan were reaching out, people from India, like these scientists and doctors were all reaching out with beautiful information that were legit. There were people that were just in MLMs. And by the way, I love MLMs, so I'm not down talking them, but you should have a talk with your builders on the proper way to reach out to people, because their story is powerful and that's enough to build your business. You don't have to make up things or say this will cure that, this will cure this. For anyone who's listening, be very careful when anyone throws a cure at you, because there's no such thing as a blanket cure, and it may help support your body through that process. It may through being curative, but there's no such thing as a blanket cure. So be very skeptical of anyone throwing a cure at you. I'm Jana Short. This is my podcast, Publishing Power Play. And the reason I wanted to start this Publishing Power Play is to give you guys access to tools and strategies to get published, to get your name out there, to build a brand that means something, that is the heartbeat of what you do and is recognized by others. They're connected in an emotional way. The most important way to connect is in emotions on social media. People are falling in love and never even seeing each other's face over social media. I want people to fall in love with you before they step through your door of services. So building your storyline is going to be key to your growth. So go ahead and write that. Take those colors. Yellow's for article ideas. Pink is for great parts to put on my website in my mission statement or about me. This is a great space to write copy for social media. There's so much in your story you can pull. So when I ask people to do it, it's the first thing I ask them when they come coaching. I want your story, and I want the messy. It doesn't have to be pretty when you write it. It's not a book. I'm literally going to go through it, peeling it apart bit by bit and pulling out those beautiful, what we call heartbeats. I want to leave you with this one thing. I believe when you're given a story through whatever experience you have gone through, no matter how scary or horrendous or desperate you may have felt, that story was given to you for a reason. And when you're on the other side of that story and have the strength to share it, and you do, when you share that story with others, it's going to make me cry because I've seen this through the last 10 years happen. When you share that story with others, it's like a beautiful heartbeat. You're pushing out into the world from your very soul. And other people are connecting and finding hope, and they're grabbing it like a lifeline, being pulled into you. So sharing your story is the most powerful thing you have building your brand. I'm sorry I got emotional, but the stories I get back are emotional and they connect me immediately to them. I know their pathway. So I want you to write out that story. Again, we're going to leave open the comments in here so you can leave comments if you have any questions. Hey, I don't even mind going through a few of those stories. So if you want to write them out and send them to me, I'm happy. All the information will be in here. If you like what you got from here, please hit the like button and subscribe and follow us. Share it with a friend. But I hope these are helping you get your message amplified, your voice, your beautiful heartbeat out into the world. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next podcast.